Jai Saparika Shishi Guru Gaur Chandraju Ki Jai. Jai Shri Kiraj Govardhanju Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramhansa Paribhajagacharya. Astutar Sata Shri Shriman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramhansa Paribhajagacharya. Astutar Sata Shri Shriman Srila Bhakti Rakak Sri Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Welcome to Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mission Morning Class. Dandavat. Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Chita Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitangstam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidangscha Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Svapadantikam Jai Saparika Shishi Guru Gaur Chandra Jai Kiraju Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is the 7th chapter of Adi Lila. The Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. So many things are in this chapter to really contemplate. So now we are on text 20 to 21. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktavinda.
Jaya Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktavinda.
Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Ki Jai Srila Om Vishnupad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're on, again, text 20 and 21 of the 7th chapter of Adi Lila. Se panchatattva mili prithiviyasiya purna prema bandharera mudda ugadiya panche mili nute prema kare asvadana jata jata piye trishna bade anukshana. The characteristics of Krishna are understood to be a storehouse of transcendental love. Although that storehouse of love certainly came with Krishna when he was present, it was sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with his associates of the Panchatattva, they broke that seal and plundered the storehouse to taste transcendental love of Krishna. The more they tasted it, the more their thirst for it grew. So we're talking about love. So in the mundane plane, the more we indulge in sense gratification, the more we become addicted to that. That's a very different thing. Love is always increasing. This is transcendental, divine, pure love of God. And it is also always increasing because the nature of love is like that. It's not satisfied with its own giving. We want to give more and more and more and more. So this is an ever-increasing sweetness, and Krishna is also ever-increasing in his sweetness. Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Mahavadanyaya Avatar because although he is Sri Krishna himself, he is even more favorably disposed to the poor fallen souls than Sri Krishna. When Lord Sri Krishna himself was personally present, he demanded that everyone surrender unto him and promised that he would then give one all protection. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this earth with his associates, he simply distributed transcendental love of God without discrimination. So giving this opportunity to everyone. He is giving the opportunity to surrender to Krishna to anyone and everyone who is otherwise completely not qualified to even hear about this. Sri Rupa Goswami therefore could understand that Lord Chaitanya was none other than Sri Krishna himself, for no one but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can distribute confidential love of the Supreme Person. So when Krishna comes in the form of Mahaprabhu, he's breaking the seal on that storehouse of love of Godhead. Puna puna piyaya haya mahamata nache kande hase gaya jaiche madamata. Shri Panchatattva themselves danced again and again, and thus made it easier to drink nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, laughed, and chanted like madmen. In this way, they distributed love of Godhead. They brought it in their own selves, and their expression of that love poured that love into the atmosphere and into the hearts of all the living beings. Otherwise, not possible. It's not possible. Especially from the in the age of Kali, it's not even possible to understand piety or heavenly attainment. It's all very vague and unattainable. And now they have come to distribute this thing, which is so rare, inconceivably rare. People generally cannot understand the actual meaning of chanting and dancing. Describing the Goswamis, Sri Srinivasacharya stated, Krishna kirtana gana nartana paro. Not only did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates demonstrate this chanting and dancing, but the 6 Goswamis also followed in the next generation. The present Krishna consciousness movement follows the same principle, and therefore simply by chanting and dancing, we have received good responses all over the world. Why is that? It's a potency that Mahaprabhu has brought to this world, with the Panchatattva also. Of course, the Panchatattva are all features of the Lord. They are actually transcendental activities, for the more one engages in chanting and dancing, the more he can taste the nectar of transcendental love of Godhead. Patra patra vichara nahina nahi stana stana jai jahapaya tarakare premadana. In distributing love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not, nor where such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of the Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead. This is astonishing. So, Srila Prabhupada is going to describe here, I'm just taking a quick look here in the purport, those who are following a very strict regimen of like Varnashram Dharma rules and regulations, they don't like this, because you have to have some qualification for following that process. And they're saying the Western people don't have anything. They're like monkeys. They don't have any culture, no rules of conduct, no. They just like, what are you doing? You can't give them an opportunity like this. And they really thought that. But Srila Prabhupada didn't care. There are some rascals who dare speak against the mission of Lord Chaitanya by criticizing the Krishna consciousness movement for accepting Europeans and Americans as Brahmins and offering them sannyas. But here's an authoritative statement that in distributing love of Godhead, one should not consider whether the recipients are Europeans, Americans, Hindus, Muslims, etc. The Krishna consciousness movement should be spread wherever possible, and one should accept those who thus become Vaishnavas as being greater than Brahmins. Ooh, what a statement. But that is the truth, because the whole Varnashram system is for developing Krishna consciousness. That's really what it's for. So if someone develops Krishna consciousness by the mercy of Mahaprabhu and his followers, then he's already graduated. So he is above a Brahmin. This is not a sentimental statement. The Krishna consciousness movement should be spread wherever possible, and one should accept those who thus become Vaishnavas as being greater than Brahmins, Hindus, or Indians. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired that his name be spread in each and every town and village on the surface of the globe. Therefore, when the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is spread all over the world, should those who embrace it not be accepted as Vaishnavas, Brahmins, and Sannyasis? These foolish arguments are sometimes raised by envious rascals, but Krishna-conscious devotees do not care about them. We strictly follow the principles set down by the Panchatattva. Any question about that? Text 24. Lutia kaiya dia bandara ujjare, ashchaja bandara prema sattaguna bade. Although the members of the Panchatattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity. For this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. Srila Prabhupada. In the purport, a pseudo-incarnation, you know pseudo means imitation, not real. A pseudo-incarnation of Krishna once told his disciples that he had emptied himself by giving all his knowledge and was thus spiritually bankrupt. Such bluffers speak in this way to cheat the public, but actually spiritual consciousness is so perfect that the more it is distributed, the more it increases. Bankruptcy is a term that applies in the material world, but the storehouse of love of Godhead in the spiritual world can never be depleted. Krishna is providing for millions and trillions of living entities by supplying all of their necessities. Even if all the innumerable living entities wanted to become Krishna conscious, there would be no scarcity of love of Godhead, nor would there be insufficiency in providing for their maintenance. Notice that anyone who joins in the Krishna consciousness movement is automatically maintained. Doesn't have to do so many things. This is amazing, but it is true. Our Krishna consciousness movement was started single-handedly, and no one provided for our livelihood. But at present we are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars all over the world, and the movement is increasing more and more. So Prabhupada is saying that. Really, Prabhupada had $8 or something when he arrived in America. I mean, he was poverty. But in no time, there were huge temples, huge prasadam distribution, very grand and elaborate deity worship. Everything was provided. And anybody who joined the temples automatically lived in this opulence. Automatically. There was no scarcity whatsoever.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When he brought this to the West, did people here already have a conception of what this was, or did they have literally no idea whatsoever?
No idea, and mostly a misconception. Because before Srila Prabhupada came, a lot of bogus people came and were preaching Mayavad philosophy.
Okay, but it was already, the idea of Krishna was already brought here, but just not in the right way.
Yeah, but very, very vaguely.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, when you would go into an Indian store, you would see pictures of Krishna, but
Definitely.
I had no idea what that was. But by the time I joined in 1970, there was already people chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and I was chanting by myself. And I'd heard it from some random person out in the middle of nowhere that I got into a conversation with. And he just said, you should just chant Hare Krishna. And he taught me the mantra. I don't remember his name even.
And that's what kind of...
It was just spreading like that. It was there, but I didn't know what I was doing. But before Prabhupada came, no, it was very vague. And there were people like who had come, who had gotten in with the Beatles, and bang, 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 you know, like with the sitar and the incense and everything, and teaching what they called transcendental meditation and all. It was all bogus. So there was a lot of misunderstanding that he came up against, that he had to undo.
And that was that probably like the most difficult part of it all, is like undoing that work, or?
I mean, you mean the biggest part of his job?
Yeah.
I mean, some of it was like that, yeah. I mean, he does spend a lot of energy in these purports, of all of his purports, defeating Mayavad philosophy. Nirvishesha Sunyavad. He came, Paschat Prajata, he came and defeated all of that. But easily he did it. But still, no, I mean, he was older than I was when he arrived. Than I am. Oh, maybe around the same age, but I mean, it's completely inconceivable. I mean, it's just not human.
Yeah.
Srila Guru Maharaj said, what he did was not human. It's not what a human can do. And that wasn't super widespread. It's just that the hippies, my generation, the hippie movement got into that kind of stuff. And there was a lot of misunderstanding there in that community. And of course, we were the ones that were searching. So we were just fortunate, man, to be in the right place at the right time. Haribol. Although jealous persons may be envious, if we stick to our principles and follow in the footsteps of the Panchatattva, dancing and chanting and distributing freely, this movement will go on unchecked by imitation swamis, sannyasis, religionists, philosophers, or scientists, for it is transcendental to all material considerations. Therefore, those who propagate the Krishna consciousness movement should not be afraid of such rascals and fools. Srila Prabhupada did not mince words. Uchalila prema vanya chaudike bedaya Shrivriddha balaka juva sabare dubaya. The flood of love of God had swelled in all directions, and thus young men, old men, women, and children were all immersed in that inundation. When the contents of the storehouse of love of God is thus distributed, there is a powerful inundation that covers the entire... You know inundation? It means a flood. Yeah, that covers the entire land. In Sridham Mayapur, there's sometimes a great flood after the rainy season. This is an indication that from the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, the inundation of love of Godhead should be spread all over the world. For this will help everyone, including old men, young men, women, children. The Krishna consciousness movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so powerful that it can inundate the entire world and interest all classes of men in the subject of love of Godhead. Sajjana durjana pangu jada andagana prema vanyaya dubaila jagatera jana. The Krishna consciousness movement will inundate the entire world and drown everyone, whether one be a gentleman, a rogue, or even lame, invalid, or blind. So there are no impediments. Nothing will impede that. You can't conceive of how revolutionary these statements are. I mean, for Srila Prabhupada to make these statements and then bring back Westerners to India as sannyasis, brahmacharis, grihastas, that was so mind-blowing for the Eastern persons. But those who were innocent-hearted embraced that so much. And those who were envious of their position in the social structure, that was difficult for them to swallow. But eventually they saw, oh no, these people really are qualified. Not doing things so much properly in terms of the Varnashram, of course, but in terms of their understanding of Siddhanta and following a very good lifestyle and all these things that nobody could deny it. Jagadu bila jiverahaya bijanasha tahadeki pancha janera parama ulasa. When the 5 members of the Panchatattva saw the entire world drown in love of Godhead and the seed of material enjoyment in the living entities completely destroyed, they all became exceedingly happy. So this seed of material enjoyment it survives. Just like years ago when we went to Yellowstone, so we can maybe put our phones away as much as possible during the class. But when we went to Yellowstone once, it had just been burned. There was just a huge thing that was burned, but the seeds are still there. The floods don't destroy the seeds. The fire doesn't destroy the seeds, and the whole forest grew up again. So to destroy the seed is very difficult. So we may do many, many austerities and penances, and do follow many religious practices, and practice yoga, mystic yoga, or so many different things, but that seed will remain. The seed of material enjoyment will again eventually sprout up. Srila Guru Maharaj was saying that people can perform so many austerities and try to withdraw all the senses from the sense objects and try to destroy all their sinful reactions. And if even that is possible, to destroy the sinful reactions of what one has done previously, but the seed is not destroyed. The seed is only destroyed by devotion. It really is. In the Brahma Samhita, that is Yastvindra Gopa Madhavendra Aho Swakarma Bandhanu Rupa Pala Bhajanam Atanoti. So it's saying, Akarmani Nirdahati Kindu Chabakti Bhaja Govindamadi Purusham Tamamachan. So these are facts to be understood. Maybe we can just wait for that. We can wait for that. So in this original book of the universe from Lord Brahma, it is said that, and Lord Brahma is saying this, from Indra to the bug, everyone is receiving their sinful reactions, right? But it is, and nobody can avoid it. No one can get out of it. But those who engage in bhakti bhajan, that seed, that root is destroyed. They will never again come back to this mundane plane of enjoyment, gradually as there is practice. So this is really actually big deal. This statement is very, very important. When the 5 members of the Panchatattva saw the entire world drowned in love of Godhead, and the seed of material enjoyment in the living entities completely destroyed, they all became exceedingly happy. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhasya that since the living entities all belong to the marginal potency of the Lord, each and every living entity has a natural tendency to become Krishna conscious. Although at the same time the seed of material enjoyment is undoubtedly within him. The seed of material enjoyment, watered by the course of material nature, fructifies to become the tree of material entanglement that endows the living entity with all kinds of material enjoyment. To enjoy such material facilities is to become afflicted with the three material miseries, which are adhyatmika, adibodhika, adidaivika. These are the three material miseries that material enjoyment go to without exception. And
It's like the first one is calamities caused by you.
but yes, in the body and the mind.
In the body and the mind.
So Atma means I am personally experiencing this. Then
The calamities caused by things outside of you, like things in your...
those are twofold.
Yes, yes.
Adibodhika means
Is-
it's the first thing I think of is mosquitoes.
Is there one with like natural disasters and
Yeah.
stuff?
Adi Devika, the one sent by the acts of God, as they call it, the acts of the demigods, like Vayu,
Yeah.
with hurricanes and tornadoes, and Indra with floods, and also many in the Agni, the disasters of fire, earthquakes, so many different kinds of, as they call it in the insurance policies, acts of God. This does not cover acts of God. Yeah.
The mosquitoes example is in the same category as the acts of God.
No, that's Adibodhika.
Adibodhika.
Other living entities.
Like other people,
Yeah, like germs.
germs.
Or like virus, like bacterial infections,
Like illness.
mosquitoes, dogs, might bite you. There's so many different kinds of living beings.
Thieves.
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 Yeah. So the result of that that seed grows into this tree of material enjoyment, which brings about all those kinds of miseries, because in order to take in the material world, somebody else is being deprived. So there's always a reaction. Right? There's always a reaction. Innocence is never there in mundane enjoyment. Whereas in spiritual enjoyment, everyone is becoming benefited. Everyone in all directions, all of our friends, our neighbors, or whoever, and we are also being benefited by one another. So, when the Panchatattva, the members of the Panchatattva saw that the living beings are becoming so fortunate, they became happy. That's the nature of spiritual life. Everyone's happiness is increasing everyone's happiness. But in the mundane world, my happiness will be at the risk of someone's disappointment. There's no other way. It's just the nature of this plane. And one expression is jiva sajivanam. I am eating, and therefore someone must die. Right? Something has to die. But because we are taking prasadam, it is more than innocent. It is beneficial. The person who put the seed for the cabbage, the person who harvested the cabbage, the person who sold the cabbage, the person who bought the cabbage, prepared the cabbage, and offered the cabbage and took that prasadam, they're all benefited. Everything is benefited. Right?
It's like the opposite.
The opposite. Spiritual life is the opposite of material life. And this is analytically to be, we can understand it. It's not some mysterious thing. Instead of being envious that Krishna consciousness is spreading all over the world by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, those who are jealous should be happy, as indicated here by the word parama ulas. But because they are kanishtadikaris or prakrita bhaktas, materialistic devotees who are not advanced in spiritual knowledge, they are envious instead of happy, and they try to find fault in the Krishna consciousness movement. Yet, Srimati Prabodhananda Saraswati writes in his Chaitanya Charitamrita that when influenced by Lord Chaitanya's Krishna consciousness movement, materialists become averse to talking about their wives and children. Supposedly learned scholars give up their tedious studies of Vedic literature, and yogis give up their impractical practices of mystic yoga. Ascetics give up their austere activities of penance and austerity, and sannyasis give up their study of Sankhya philosophy. Thus they are all attracted by the bhakti yoga practices of Lord Chaitanya and cannot relish a mellow superior to that of Krishna consciousness. Did you catch that? What's going on over there?
Oh, he's got the translations over there.
Oh, that's so perfect, yeah.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
That is so great, Prabhu. I really appreciate that you do that. It's so much easier to pay attention when you can read as well, I feel.
Would you like to read too? Yeah.
And now I'm going to finish here, and we'll go to Upadesamrita. But so, the symptom is that if anyone on any path of spiritual life, we're talking about serious people, comes into touch with this process given by the Panchatattva, and Mahaprabhu especially, they give that up. They easily give it up because it is not tasteful. All this mystic yoga is all a bunch of nonsense, really. Jaya Saparika Shishi Guru Gora Chandra Kish. Avadut Maharaj. One time, Keshavananda was traveling in Eastern Europe, and Avadut Maharaj was circulating and put up posters that Keshavananda was going to speak, and that he could elevate 8 feet off the ground. And that was to attract people who were interested in that sort of thing. And Keshav was like, what if they ask me to do it? I'm not going to be able to do that. But instead he said, actually this mystic yoga process is not tasteful. It can get some prestige. Oh yeah, I'm a mystic. But there's nothing really valuable about it. So it was very good. But it was really funny. He wrote to me, Avadut Maharaj just told everybody I can elevate myself off the ground.
And what happened?
I don't think anybody asked him. But he, on that subject, he spoke about how this is nothing. It is not. Now that I've come in contact with Mahaprabhu's mission, I can see no taste in any of it. What is it for? You know that story about the young boy in the village? He left home to study mystic yoga. And so for many years he studied this mystical process, and he developed some siddhi, some ability. So he came back to his village grown up, and the villagers are all running, oh, what can you do? Did you learn some mystic? Yes, I can walk on water. So I began walking on, I forget the name of it, it's a prapti, it's a siddhi, a perfection of mysticism, that you can make yourself very light. So he's walking on the water, and then the boatman came, he said, so you've learned about 2 paisa worth of, of worth. Your learning is worth about 2 paisa. Paisa is like way less than a penny. He said, I'm a boatman. I take people across the river for 2 paisa. So now you can walk across, so you saved yourself 2 paisa. So we need to see all these things soberly. And we can't see them soberly without the light of Siddhanta. We can't see where the value of things is, or where everything is in the grand scheme of things, which means Sambandha Gyan. With Sambandha Gyan, you can see what is the relative value of everything, what is the goal, who are we, what is my necessity, what am I doing here, why am I suffering, all these things. Jaya. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj ki Jai. Srila Om Vishnupade Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Shri Upadesamrita. Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Rupa Goswami ki Jai. And Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga ki Jai. What does that mean? Rupa Nuga Guru Varga.
The line.
Mm-hmm. The acharyas in the line of Rupa Saraswati from Mahaprabhu.
What are you saying?
I said in very simple terms.
So we're now on page 437. I'm really appreciating that you're posting it. Have you got this too?
Upadesamrita?
Yeah. Not yet.
We don't have the book digitally.
I know, but I can't believe that's true. It's almost impossible to believe it, but I guess it's the case.
At least in the MAD website, it's not available.
Yeah. Maybe if you Google that, you'll find one. I don't know.
I
Probably.
Googled it, they couldn't find
Of course. It's too bad, huh?
What was it? What was the big one?
That one? The yellow one? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We can read it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on page 437 right now.
What was that?
That one, which
Yeah. Search it. Couldn't find.
Not even in the form of like pictures of a picture book that you can download. Okay, well, page 437, and this is a beautiful lecture by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Really, we are so fortunate to have any connection with the beautiful intellect of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, divine intellect. So, 437, regarding the nature of the jiva, right toward the top of the page. Regarding the nature of the jiva, Srimad Mahaprabhu's instruction is as follows. Jiver Swarupa Hai Krishnera Nityadas Suryangsa Kirana Jaiche Agni Jwala Chai. The nature of the jiva is that of an eternal servant of Krishna. Jivas are like particles within the rays of the sun, or like sparks from a fire. Regarding the conditioned jivas, Mahaprabhu's statement is as follows. Seva binangsa jiva duita prakara akanitya mukha mukta eka nitya samsara Krishna buli se jiva anadi bahir mukha ataiva maya tare deya samsara dukkha. So you guys know the meaning of the word dukkha? Dukkha means unhappiness. And nitya samsara, nitya means eternal, and samsara is the cycle of birth and death, meaning the cycle of action and reaction. And bahir mukha is a really interesting word. Mukha means face. Bahir means outside. So those who have turned their face away from Krishna. There are two classes of the distinct manifestation of the jiva. One is eternally liberated, nitya mukha, and one is the eternally conditioned, nitya baddha. Forgetting Krishna, this second class of jivas are beginninglessly averse to Krishna, bahir mukha. So these two, and Maya therefore subjects them to the suffering of samsara. On the subject of liberated jivas, Mahaprabhu's statement is as follows. Nitya Krishna Charane Unmukha Krishna Parisharanama Bunje Seva Sukha. The eternally liberated jivas are always intent upon Krishna's feet. They are known as Krishna's associates, and they experience the joy of Krishna's service. On the manifestation of difference and non-difference, Krishna Tatastha Shakti Beda Bed Prakash. The jiva is Krishna's marginal energy, a manifestation both different and non-different from Krishna. So we are one of Krishna's Shakti, so Krishna and his Shakti are non-different, but at the same time we are individual. When through connection with Amnai, so what is Amnai?
Ascending knowledge.
Very good.
Oh, that's spelled.
Huh?
I didn't know that's how that was spelled.
When through connection with Amnai, such sambandha gyan or knowledge of the jiva's relationship with Bhagavan arises, the jiva becomes fully aware of abhideya, which means?
The goal.
No, that's prayojan.
Oh, the process.
The process. Shri Krishna Bhakti is abhideya. The meaning is that abhideya is the term for that which has been stated, abhita, in the scriptures to be the ultimate duty of the jiva. Mahaprabhu's statement in this regard in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhaja Lila. So that is abhideya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving a broader definition of abhideya, meaning when one has sambandha gyan, then he can understand what his duty is. When he understands what is what, then he can understand what is my duty in this world. What should I do? And that is, we're given as the process of the practicing of Krishna consciousness. But that's all included in sambandha gyan. I mean, they're not, strictly separate. So they're both there. But that when one can understand Krishna consciousness and sambandha, then he knows, this is what I must do with my life. Krishna Bhakti Hai Abhideya Pradana Bhakti Mukha Nirikshaka Karma Yoga Jnana Eshava Santanera Atitucha Bala Krishna Bhakti Binataha Dite Nare Pala. Krishna Bhakti is the foremost abhideya. Karma, yoga, and jnana are all dependent on bhakti to have any value. To have any value, those things are dependent on bhakti. The power of all these sadhanas is very meager. Meager means weak, very small. The power of all those sadhanas, karma, yoga, and jnana, without Krishna Bhakti, they are unable to deliver results. As we just heard about that boy who came back with 2 paisa worth of power. Sadhana Bhakti is called abhideya, which is of 2 types according to the distinction between vaidhi, or regulated, and raganuga, which is following raga, or spontaneous. Sadhana Bhakti in vaidhi form has many varieties. It has been summarized in 64 limbs, or in some places 9 limbs, or the 9 processes of bhakti. A description of bhakti as 9-fold is as follows. We can read this together. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam. So this is regulated bhakti. And why regulated? Because we are not on the platform of spontaneous love. And these are all very auspicious for us. Hearing of Vishnu, chanting of him, remembering him, attending his feet, worshipping him, bowing down to him, serving him, being his friend, and surrendering oneself to him. Being his friend means awakening that friendly feeling toward the Lord. Any questions so far? Yeah.
So, what is the type of abhideya that we practice in Sri Chaitanya Saraswat?
Mostly these ninefold.
The ninefold bite hit?
Yeah, but the main, these are all giving nourishment to surrender. That's the goal. And the others are depending upon one's service and also one's environment. So in India, the process of deity worship, if one is in some kind of Vedic sort of environment, then there are going to be much more elaborate deity worship than generally we find in our temples, or especially in the Western temples. We have certain, of course, but it's services that we do regularly, but they're to awaken some affection. They're not in and of themselves the goal of themselves, which can happen. That idea can happen easily. They are to foster and support and encourage the heart's tendency to be a surrendered servant. So that central goal of, actually in reality, and the goal of the Veda and the goal of everything, very much there, but we can get sidetracked into the form of things. Form becomes the controllable environment. Do you follow? Whereas surrender is not controllable. In fact, the Lord is not controllable. And he's not stuck in the temple, receiving whatever I give him. He's completely free to the point of being whimsical and reckless. That's the Lord we're trying to worship. But that takes some structure in the beginning, very much so. But Srila Sanatana Goswami, who wrote so many books on the practices of Vidhi, or Vaidhi Bhakti, he wrote those books. But what kind of deity worship did he do? Does anyone know?
He had his deities in his chest.
Actually, in some cases that's true of the Goswamis, but he had his in a tree. Radha Madan Mohan was living in the tree because Sanatana Goswami lived under a tree. He didn't have a house. He didn't have an income. So what is the goal, we also have to see, of all of this? And what is necessary for my progress and someone else's progress may change in terms of the awakenment of affection for the Lord. These things are all change. They can change. That's why the acceptance of what is favorable and unfavorable, this is something that requires shushamiksha and good association and instruction from our gurus.
Shushamiksha means?
Very pure self-examination. Examining clearly, what is it that I'm to do now, my Lord? Maybe last time it was one instruction and this time it's another. But this is something which requires some experience and some progress. And so all of these things are there according to our necessity. And we must not give up one necessity to go to a plane that we are not ready for. So all these things are in place. So now we are doing many, many things to maintain the temple, but we have a very simple temple here. It's not that much. And very simple puja, and very simple, right? We have so much time to do whatever we need to do and still maintain everything very, very nicely. And but keeping our focus always, which is the very big advantage of living in the temple, you are always reminded of the focus of everything you're doing. Because in the end, we're going to die. We're going to leave this body. And what is it that we really need? What treasure do I need to accumulate in this life to bring with me to my next life? What's important? What am I going to really be able to keep? And that is the attitude of surrender, and constantly hearing Siddhanta, adjusting ourselves. Those are the central necessities of life. And anyone who can really keep that is a very fortunate person. I read a book once, long time ago, a young person, about a man who made clocks and watches. This is this whole story. It was so amazing, this story. And he was dying, and his family was all around him, and all he could think about was, in his delirium, was clocks and watches and parts of, and ticking and wheels turning, and he was absorbed in that, and then died. It's not that we can't make clocks and watches in our life, but for what? What is my life for? Clocks and watches? It is for my spiritual progress. And no matter whether you're in the temple or whether you're out of the temple, that focus has to be there. Otherwise it's just for nothing. It's a horrible thing to say, but it's for worse than nothing, because there's so many reactions that come. So, pretty heavy. But everything becomes glorious. Srila Prabhupada said, life is so many zeros, but you put the one in the front and you've got billions. Everything becomes so valuable, powerfully valuable in Krishna consciousness. Every situation in life will bring me forward. Otherwise, what is it for? I got a new lamp. You know what I mean? But you can get a new lamp. In the mood of surrender, this is what what I think I should do. I'm offering this to you, everything. But the time spent in the temple is invaluable. And we know it. It's very concentrated. It's a special position and gives so much deep nourishment to our lives. So, as far as possible, manage everything else in the best atmosphere possible for life. Okay, it's 9:00 now. We didn't read too much, but I'll just read this next paragraph. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami has said of the characteristics of bhakti. Oh, okay, no.
We're a conditioned jiva bodily.
Yes, you're right. I moved this thing. I think we can start there tomorrow. That's a very good paragraph to be. Any questions now or comments or anything?
Just a short, simple comment.
A short what?
Comment.
Uh-huh.
But first, who were the Goswamis who didn't really cook anything? They just accepted any donation that was given to them?
Yeah, all of them.
All of the 6
Yeah.
Goswamis.
Their Gurudev said their renunciation is not possible for others.
Like we shouldn't imitate that at all.
Well, you could go a little cuckoo. And I've seen people go to Vrindavan and start to try to live like that. But
They go cuckoo.
yeah, because don't forget, the 6 Goswamis are absorbed in transcendental nectar. Their forgetfulness of the bodily necessities was because of absorption in something higher. It wasn't like the austerities of the Gyanis and the yogis. I'm not gonna... Very dry and painful. It was natural for them. They just weren't concerned because they were absorbed in nectar. Their lives were saturated with the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And living in that, it was just natural for them. But to do that sort of thing when one has no qualification on that plane, it will just lead to some mental disturbance and a lot of physical disturbance for no reason. Just take prasadam. No reason to be fasting all the time, or fasting really. I mean, once in a while we fast, very rarely. There's very few fasting days. We're taking prasad, everything positive and nectarian and sweet and juicy. Juice, rasa. The practice of Vaishnavism is full of rasa. And our addiction to what is painful and bitter is our only obstacle. It's the only problem that we have, really. It's just fighting that internal battle. But that's a good battle, and we're all fighting it. It's not like, I mean, everyone is. Everyone's fighting the addiction to be selfishly miserable. It's in all of us. Jaya, Sapadika, Shishi, and we just don't recognize the sweetness. We don't know what it is. Like if a man is used to eating out of a garbage pail, and somebody says, oh, stop eating that junk. You can come and take this beautiful meal with my family. And they'll be like, hey man, back off, okay? This is my pail here. I know what you're doing. We just don't recognize the gift that's coming to us sometimes. And we're thinking, oh, this is causing me suffering, but it's not. Any other comments? Hare Krishna Jaya. I'm sorry, I forgot my drum again. The drum.
Yeah, we're just going to start the comment.
Yeah, yes.
I thought of us living in the future, and I'm going to talk for myself.
Yeah.
That if I get hungry, then I feel like I have to offer that first. But the initial intention is not because I want to offer it to him, because maybe he's hungry and I want to take care of him. I'm hungry, but I need to live according to the regulations.
Yeah.
Then I need to offer it to him so that I can eat.
Yeah.
Then I thought about this Goswamis. Like, they're such an elevated position. They didn't even, I don't know, they just received their grace.
Yeah.
The Lord grace. So, in conclusion, what I'm trying to express is, in comparison to who we're following, Gurudev and the line of Rupanuga, we are in a very fallen position, like speaking for myself.
Yeah, I mean, we're just new. We're trying to practice something that will become so natural later on. And it's compared to a miser, the word miser? A miser is a person who is very selfish, can't give anything. So, oh, mine. So a really super miser, I mean, we're all a little selfish, but I'm just saying, like, a miser is a particular type of selfish person. They can't even spend money on themselves. they just can't. They just can't give the giving motion. So somebody will say, okay, just give some ashes. Ashes are garbage, basically. Just take some ashes and just try to open up your hand and let that go. So not we, maybe just me, but we're just in that position where we're practicing what is very normal in happy life. But for us, it's just a little difficult. It's normal. But that's not, that shouldn't be discouraging. We are learning to give, but not just give in some ordinary way, but to give in love to the center. But that practice is very auspicious, And it's good. You see, this is Shushamiksha, what you're talking about.
Oh.
That's what that means. I can see in myself that blah, I can see. That's Shushamiksha. And that is a ray of light from the next level.
Gosh.
It's a gift. Really is a gift. Haribo.
Is it this one? No, this
Yes, please. Thank you. And then this song that we're going to sing now, that, Hari Harai, we sing it all the time. Read the English. This is all about the six Goswami. And the six Goswamis at Jaha. That means that they will destroy every obstacle to my progress by worshiping them. Jai Saparikashi Shri Guru Chandraju, Jai Shri Giraju Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sri Dardev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Sadgoswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Narottam Shamananda Srinivas Thakur Prabhu Ki Jai, Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshad Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Saparshad Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, and Panchatattva Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Chaitanya Saraswat Ki Jai, Chaitanya Saraswat Mission Ki Jai, Kolkartal Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Nittai Gaur Premanandi, Haribo, Jai Gurudev Ki Jai. Jai Mahaprabhu, Jai Gurudev, Jai Guru Maharaj, Jai Giraju Ki Jai. Can I give you this, Ananya?
Yes.
And Jai, tell the devotees, Jai.
Jai.